Namaskar, friends. Today I shall be talking about different various technical experiments which were carried out in the making of modern poetry, and without which the very concept of modern poetry is impossible. Ezra Pound, while referring to the uniqueness of modern poetry, talked about the process of making it new. And the process of making it refers to the corpus of modern poetry. Making it new has been achieved remarkably by various innovations. Imagism happens to be one of those experiments, techniques which helped modern poetry in achieving its uniqueness. Imagism as a conscious attempt to make poetry as direct statement, accurate, precise, and compact with the help of images. It doesn't mean that in preceding ages there is no use of image. It has been there, but in the use of images, the writers of preceding centuries simply made poetry florid, flowery, and decorative piece. But that practice is not to be found in the users of images of modern poetry of first half of 20th century. We have T.E. Halme, Ezra Pound, Hilda Doolittle, Amy Lowell, William Carlos Williams, and so many others who have significantly contributed as far as Imagism is concerned. Imagism talks about no use of unnecessary words. The words should be used as images, and that should have a rhythmic quality, almost a musical composition. This practice is very much similar to Japanese haiku and Chinese ideogram. To give one example, I have taken this example from the poem In a Station of the Metro and written by Ezra Pound. The poem is the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. That's all. It's a two lines poem full of images, and has to say significant things. A masterpiece. Symbolism. Arthur Symons, in his book The Symbolist Movement in Literature, published in the year 1899, made symbolism a kind of literary revolution, and he dedicated this book to W.B. Yeats. Northrop Frye defines symbol as an image which can be isolated for spatial critical attention. Yes, a symbol is primarily an image, but an image may not have more than one meaning, but a symbol has more than one, two, three meanings. Technically, symbolism emerged in France, the land, the laboratory of new ideas, France, and the poets like Charles Baudelaire and Mallarmé. Mallarmé has gone up to the extent of saying that to name is to destroy and to suggest is to create. Naming is prosaic, while suggesting is poetic, symbolical too. We have W.B. Yeats, T.S. Eliot, W.H. Auden, and so many others practicing using symbolism and symbols. They have used symbols which are traditional, customary, collective, known. At the same time, they have come up with their personal touch, personal insight. And it will be more clearer to us once we begin to discuss individual poems. Surrealism. Surrealism has been shaped by the psychological insights, especially of Sigmund Freud and C.Z. Jung. The French writer André Breton has the credit to start Surrealism. In my previous talk, I talked about the importance of psychology and the kind of psychology which paved the path for a new kind of fiction which William James talks about in terms of stream of consciousness. Roughly, to put it simply, we can say that the use of psychological insights in fiction is a stream of consciousness, and the use of the same in poetry is surrealism. Surrealism adhered no importance to logic and rationalism and known established punctuation style. Surrealism practiced automatic writing, pure psychic automatism, full of dream sequences, which exhibited, displayed, expressed latent images and fantasies of subconscious and unconscious minds. We have major practitioners like Dylan Thomas, Paul Eluard, Robert Desmos, and others. Dadaism. Dadaism, to put it in a simple words, remember the Hindi word Dada and Dadagiri. Dadaism is almost like Dadagiri, which was started by Tristan Jara, a Romanian author, and Dadaism simply displays its abhorrence towards contemporary civilization, which is mechanical and robotic. The practitioners of Dadaism showed horrified indignation and enjoyed violence, not the physical violence, but syntactical violence, structural violence, the violence in thought and expression. They were against old, dead beliefs and defied logic and reason, full of sound and fury, whether that signified anything or not. It can be a question of personal approach. Expressionism, stream of consciousness to fiction, surrealism to poetry. Then, in that line of thought, expressionism certainly goes to drama. But this is not fixed, this is not blocked, and these styles are fluid and can intersect, can interfere in other genres too. We have August Strindberg, Swedish playwright, George Kaiser, German playwright. And this expressionism was not simply practiced in literature, but in painting too. So we have Edvard Munch, Norwegian, and famous Vincent van Gogh, Dutch. We can name other writers, Franz Kafka in his stories, and we have Russian master writer Dostoevsky, especially his Crime and Punishment and Notes from Underground. The two had discussed for external manifestation of reality. This is what we have been discussing in terms of psychology. The exploration of subconscious and unconscious mind, displayed subjectivism, and expressed deep, personally felt, experienced inner reality, which is full of emotional intensity. They gave importance to the release of inner crisis artistically with the help of other mediums, other ways and other means. Existentialism. The question of existence is as old as humanity itself. I mean, if you go back, if you talk about Christianity, then it begins from the concept of original sin, Adam and Eve, Satan, Apple. Hamlet's To Be or Not to Be, or of 21st century and any of its characters, any writer, any person, any denizen, any inhabitant in that way. They all, we all rather, have to face the question of existence. Essence precedes existence, essence being the concepts soul, oversoul, hell, heaven, God. Are they more important over a personal life, over one's personal existence? Or existence is more important than the questions of soul and oversoul and God and morality and religion and value and principles and systems? These philosophers talked about human predicament in terms of absurdity, in terms of meaninglessness of life. We have important philosophers like Soren Kierkegaard, Danish. We have Martin Heidegger, German. Kierkegaard, though being a theist, yet he displays existential concerns. Heidegger, with his concept of Dasein, the concept of being in time. And of course, Jean-Paul Sartre, French, with his concepts of freedom, choice, responsibility, with his concepts like being in itself, being for itself, and being for others. And several writers, irrespective of genres, but it was more popularized by dramatists, especially Beckett, Pinter, Stoppard, and so many others. Futurism. Futurism was an important literary movement which was started by Filippo Tommaso Marinetti. The small pamphlet published in 1913, New Futurist Manifesto. Marinetti showed his confidence, belief in scientific innovations that have changed human course of life in a very positive manner. He is a positivist. This futurism refers to the dynamism, power, energy, speed that is symbolized in modern machine, and we know all these things because we all are surrounded by machines and machines and machines. To him, machine is a radical force helping common human beings to achieve success over nature and universe. Good or bad, it's a matter of concern, but maybe another day, maybe in different aspect. Futurism gave power to human beings, making human tasks easier, making enabling humans to achieve success over success, and helping human beings to renew the sensibilities. So these are certain important literary experiments and innovations which were the part and parcel of 20th century modern poetry, and these innovations simply helped modern poetry to maintain its uniqueness, exclusiveness, and its complexity. Thank you.